Hey guys, my name is Skye. Kiko's here as well. We hope everyone's well. How are you, Kiko?
I'm fantastic. Thank you. And we've missed you last week.
Oh, I'm so glad to be back. And this is the Ups and Down podcast. And essentially, me being off and sick is why we're doing the topic we are today when healing gets hard and how we get through the bad days. Because that's really been at the forefront for me. And that's what I like to talk on. So, yeah, what about you, Kiko?
Yeah, I'm so grateful that I have this safe space to share my ups and downs. Um, I have been going through a bit of a skin flare-ups. It's now better, but when it gets hot like this, I don't know if you can hear this the insects singing so loud.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite hot and humid, which I love. I love the humidity and the heat. But the other day I was out all day and I got like sweat rash. I don't know if that's something common, but like when I sweat with my own sweat, I get like rashes. So like I get a bit of itchy, like red skin. So anyway, I pay attention to what I eat, and sometimes I get really frustrated that okay, what now? Like, what more can I do? So I'm really excited to share what I do usually when it gets tough. So yes, where do we get started on that?
Okay, so I want to just do a little bit of a backstory because I feel like I've got to a really good point again, and I probably will do like um, a topic on this in one of my lives. But I really didn't have many problems for the first couple of years. Like I didn't struggle mentally, emotionally, physically. I didn't get sick. There was no problems. I was eating, and I've looked at this and tried to figure out what keeps changing. And I do know what it is. And that is, and because I'm back doing it now, is so when I did the Dr. Brooke Goldner type way, which is I altered it to do low histamine. So predominantly, I'm now having more drier foods. And I knew I was doing that. And I knew for me that wasn't always optimal. Like it wasn't so much the sugar, it's hydration. Like, and it's not so much the juice, it's getting whole foods and hydration. I knew that that's what healed me. But I was reacting to everything. And that's how you get bad days, right? Is what do I eat? What do I eat today? And this principle still sits on how I healed myself and what I do first. And that is what are the things in the past which have been least reactive? And to get to the protocol that I made up, which was essentially green juice in the morning and then cruciferous vegetables and flax and chia, is my usual go to did not work anymore. And that is things like avocados, not necessarily just sweet fruit, but anything fresh. I do really well with anything fresh. Everything I was reacting to. So I've ended up on this Dr. Brooke Goldner type way of eating, and that stopped my mast cell. But I started to notice I was more tired in the mornings, but no mast cell activation. And then I got the flu almost twice. So I got it really bad in Cairns and I really couldn't get over it. And then I thought I was getting over it and would wake up every morning full of like stuff in my face, like clogged up. And so yesterday it came to this point where like, and I can go through some of the things that I would do daily to get through. But yesterday, and I did a long live on this, I made the salad which I used to heal me, which I ate basically every day to heal me. And I believe I can get that back in now because I went back to Dr. Brooke Goldner's type way, like in a low histamine sense with juices. So it was kind of altered. But that to me is always my goal because one, I feel best there. So the first thing I always do is where do I feel best? If everything's not working and I've got to eat something, I eat no matter even if I'm on a protocol and that seems to not be working, I eat what I felt best doing. Hey, Creative Heart. Hey, 21st Century and Marcus. Yeah, I go back to because if it's all going to be wrong, if everything I do is wrong, when on my healing journey have I felt best and what was coming to me all morning? And usually, this is what I love about the healing journey is it was coming to me strong. This salad, this which is very hydrating. It's when you've got like leafy greens, you've got lemon juice, orange juice, a lot of histamines, which I didn't react to. And I feel it's because I gave my body a big break. But the first thing I do is, what is my body calling at me? That's where I start. And that looks different all the time. Basically, I do that. And the other thing I do when I'm having bad days or bad periods is, what, when I felt like this before, helped me? And so I've spoken about how some of the days were harder. Like, I didn't know whether it was detox or whether it was because I was getting like more fatigued having heavier foods in general. And I would talk about rest. Like, you sometimes don't have to push through. If your body needs rest, sometimes it's a matter of, today I need to stop and I need to go to bed. And you may not need to sleep, but rest. It's about really honoring what your body needs. So, yeah.
So are you still working, focusing on omega-3, on flax seeds and chia seeds only?
This has only been for one day, but I woke up this morning feeling like I remember feeling on raw foods, like where you spring out of bed. And I haven't felt that in a long period, even when I used to have these foods. So
Wow.
I kind of credit that I put myself in a more sluggish situation, but it was the best of a bad bunch. I couldn't eat anything. Right. So in the past, I've known that the more fresh food I eat in my day, the better I feel. Okay, but it looked like what happened was, having that fresh food isolated me from not having enough omega 3s. And I don't know, like yesterday I had chia non-ground. Something happens. Like, if my digestion slows, I slow. So if everything goes clunk, 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 Skye goes clunk, clunk, clunk. It's just like, it's when you're on raw foods, everything is a representation. Remember, I have no stomach. So I feel like I am going to, what I did when I healed, and this may not work, is every meal that I had. So most of the day I would eat just fresh food, not juices, but fresh food, just munch on cucumber or carrot, or nothing too sweet. It seems to set me off. I can have berries and I can have dragon fruit, which isn't too sweet. But then I get to this stage in the afternoon where I have my meal. And that is a massive variety of fresh food. Everything in that bowl is fresh. You've got fresh garlic and ginger. It's higher histamine, but it seems to go through me if it's hydrated at this point. We'll see. And then I will do what I did when I healed, and that was usually put chia or flax, but not ground. And maybe that's because I've got enough of it now, where I don't need to, because when I grind it, it is more like cement in my stomach. And as I said, I feel like the best. I had no option. But all we can do is see. I will keep everybody updated.
Okay, so you're saying that you have been working, making sure that you get omega-3 fatty acids, especially on flax seeds and chia seeds every day. But now
Yeah.
you can take a break from that and just kind of going every day, just checking yourself to see what your body needs.
Yes, but I want to preface here, that doesn't mean I will be doing a lot of dehydrated food and a whole handful of cashews. Like, my goal now, because it's the best I ever felt when I healed myself, and when I'm on, predominantly the food is alive. So it will be like bowls of fresh food. So let me bring this up.
Yeah.
Creative Heart said, I'm curious on your thoughts on people who consider raw vegan dogmatic, especially whole food, plant-based vegan influencers. I think most only think that because they were never chronically ill. Most were just overweight. Do you want to talk on that, Kiko?
Yeah. I do feel that there's a fine line of being dogmatic, but I can just talk about myself. For me, I have been on this high raw vegan diet for over 20 years. So most of the time, I included whole food plant based, but I know that it didn't work quite well for me. When I introduced cooked food, it I don't know. There's always a slippery road for me. It's someone that it's coming from someone that couldn't control eating. I just when I eat something, I had a eating disorder that I just couldn't stop eating something that I know it could hurt me. And with raw food, that's much easier for me to control even if I eat abundance of raw food, that feeling of, feeling sluggish, it doesn't last compared to eating cooked food. So I can only talk to about myself, and I like certain limitation now to have a control of my health. So that's my answer to that.
So just on, I think I mentioned this before on the eating of, like, there's a slippery slope. So I've technically never gone back to cooked food, but I had coffee. Now I can see what happens and why there's a slippery slope. This is what happens for me. I have coffee and I don't know what cooked food's like, but it creates a more GERD effect, which I think people don't realize it happens with very rich foods. So you get this acid reflux, and the body's natural mechanism is so it comes up to the nose and the ears, and we get acidic and protective. So you get more mucus. And it's almost like that then the way that you are smelling things changes. So when I walk past that bread shop with sweet buns every single day on raw foods, the smell goes into a non-mucus membrane nose, and it's almost new since doing raw foods. Like, it's like, whoa, I can smell each individual sugar and chemical. And well, so now I've had coffee and it's not just me, is you listen to people who have eat a raw vegan diet. I notice this, especially being high raw, they have a very clean voice. You hear because there's no acid coming up. So you get this acid coming up. And so I walk past the bread shop after maybe not the first day of coffee, maybe 2 or 3 days of coffee, just one in the morning. And all of a sudden, that bread shop smells familiar. It almost smells so familiar that I will walk myself without conscious realizing, because I did it when I used to have you can call it consciousness at that level, but let's talk about it scientifically. I don't think too much bacteria would even be rebuilt at this stage in the sinus cavity. We're just talking about mucus that's come up, protected the nose. So when we smell something, it's activating a different pathway in the brain, which almost walks me into the shop. As soon as I stop coffee, never had the same experience again. So it made me very aware. And this is why don't punish yourself if you go backwards. You will learn. You will learn a lot. We learn in our darkest hour. We don't learn in the light. We are, we can shine in the light, but we're not learning like we do in the dark. So that is what I think happens. Why I hear this so often, that people want to have just a little bit of cooked food. Can't I just have a bit of sweet potato at night? I've never heard anyone stop there. Usually it's then like, I'll add this and that. And before they know it, without even knowing, like my example where I nearly walked myself to a bread shop for a sweet cake because it's familiar, is they've got a whole lot of stuff in and they're not conscious of it. So as for dogmatic, I know this myself. So when somebody is triggered by another person, there's something they've got to work on with themselves. I've spoken about this before. In fact, I'm more grounded the more balanced I eat. When I start becoming like I'm only eating fruit, I become very high and righteous in my own head. Like I'm more raw than other people. But when I'm like this, I'm like, let people be carnivore, let people be whole food, plant-based. I'm not on their journey, but at some point in my life, I did do those things. And if somebody shouted at me, you need to stop eating meat or you need to eat more cooked food, I would have done the exact opposite. So I know it's best to keep it. I always say in my head, especially when I have been in those situations, and I've wanted to say something on someone's post, I go, Skye, stay in your lane. This is not you don't know where this person's been. So I think when there's two things here and that's my take on it, is that, I think you're triggering people. Another thing is some influencers aren't really disclosing everything. So it's a very protective mechanism. You're saying, I'm pretty much good day, bad day, you're going to get it. Because I know I see online, like doing this podcast, is I seem to help more people when I share. I've always shared the truth. The first 2 years are very easy, but now everything's like changing. So I just share. But I do know a lot of people don't share everything. So when you know that, take what they're saying as a show. I think like how real I am. Yesterday, I got up in my life and went to the bathroom. Like I'm real. Like you got to go to the bathroom. Okay. Like there's people who get on there, they do their reel and get off. So just be mindful of that. That's what I wanted to
Yeah,
say.
yeah, totally. And I really appreciate again for this safe space to share, because for me, as I shared in Sky's YouTube interview, one of the first interview that I have almost died last year, or I should have died medically. I should have been dead
Mm.
last year, and then that is a big. I don't know. That time was really hard, but it was also a wake up call, like a huge wake up call for me to say, we nothing is guaranteed. Like we don't have our life guaranteed. Next day we don't know what's gonna happen. So we have to make sure that we do what we are supposed to do. I feel me living on this high raw vegan diet, that I feel it's my mission to share my journey. So I love it that I can share my ups and downs, and I definitely go through. I have a great energy, but I still have some skin flare ups, and there are times that I feel down. So I love this topic today, and I wanted to share some of the tips and tricks that helped me.
Go for it.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, um, speaking of the skin flare-ups, so I'm still dealing with it, right? And I'm eating fully raw vegan diet, which I think I'm eating very clean, low fat, and just like Sky, I'm paying attention to what my body needs or what my body is rejecting. And even doing so, I get like very itchy skin. So what I do is when I feel like this intensely itchy skin, I do breathing exercise, and it's very simple. I just breathe in very deep and exhale, and it's actually a magic. I just realized it recently that that intense itchiness, it just goes away with just few deep breath. But you just have to remember when you're in pain or this intense skin itchiness. I would love you to try this, and I include this before going to sleep. I do a deep breathing exercise before going to sleep, and before the count of five, I'm in a deep sleep.
I love that. I actually so pain and rashes are really just a representation of emotion. Like that emotion in the body has come up and locked in somewhere. So for us to breathe is already that first step of not only easing it, but probably unlocking some of what's trapped. So I think that's amazing. I used to have sleep troubles when I was younger, and I remember seeing this yoga book. I think I've showed this on here before. And a really great way, if you can't sleep, is to alternate breathe and breathe through the mouth. So you go, I used to do this from when I was little. I saw it in a yoga book, and it really helps. And especially when I was first on my healing journey, is before you know it, you're asleep. And it's also because you're it's almost like you're hypnotizing the two sides of your brain, because to alternate breathe, you have to keep swapping the sides of the brain that you're using. And the brain, as you know, with someone with ADHD, do you know when I fall asleep best? When this is the best, I always black out. When a plane is taking off and you can hear the thrusters like making that huge noise, and the engine making the huge noise that's taking off, and it like literally goes elevation, I always just fall asleep. I need a lot of stimulation to fall asleep. And if you're someone with ADHD, you probably know that you need music, and you're in a car and all of a sudden, you might be flicking something in your hand, and all of a sudden you're like, it's like that hypnotizing, getting the sides of the brain to activate enough to actually send you to sleep, which seems counterproductive. But yeah, for me, that breathing. So it's good. We should all be doing more breathing, right?
You know what helped me? I never had any sleeping issue growing up, But I remember when I'm in school and try to read a textbook, that put me into sleep, like a deep sleep right away. So whenever I had some issues going to sleep, I would get this huge, college textbook and just put it in front of me, and I would
You're
sleep.
so right. The more, because then it's like people who read fall asleep, right? When the brain is activated, it's like you activated consistently. It then goes, ooh, oh, I like that, guys. Get your university textbooks out, school textbooks out, stick them in front, boom. Out for the
I
couch
Yeah, I never did really well in school. I'm not a
because they're
good
all asleep.
person to listen to someone just one way talking. Yeah, that doesn't work. So anyway, yeah, the breathing exercise is amazing. Like, everyone has to find their own way, right? Like, I know this the breathing exercise that you talk about, that does not work for me. Like, I get
Oh,
irritated touching my sinus area. So
ah,
yeah, so again, the healing journey is so interesting because each person has their own beautiful journey, like no one else has. So find your own beautiful path.
and that's another thing is yesterday I was saying is as a health coach, I've never seen two people heal the same way. So everyone, I mean, even in our women's group, when I look at everyone, no one's healed the same way. You and I haven't healed the same way. And I think that's really important. So listen to what everybody's doing and take a part of it and try it, but don't think you should eradicate what you're doing because there's a set protocol which will now fix you. Sure, if and I always say this, if you're in a space where you're eating a standard American diet and you do a protocol, hell yes, you're going to feel better. But that doesn't mean it's the actual answer for the rest of your life. Um, that's why the planet and Earth is the way it is because we're all individuals experiencing it and sharing our experience. So yes, I like that. Dulce said, "Hey, Dulce." Um, yeah, nature also works. A huge look when my nervous system was so dysregulated after stopping smoking and drinking and all of that. All I could do when I wasn't, well, I didn't sleep very well for the first part of it. All I wanted to do is be outside. There was one, I talk about this, it was all concrete in my backyard in my apartment block, but one tree stood out of it. My calling was to get my feet on that. And I hadn't read or been online in like 2 years. It was like my feet had to be on it. And every time I was like shaking, I would go outside and hold a tree and bring some leaves in. And then I'd come in and have like a vaporizer. That's another thing I've spoken about before. Salt lamps in my healing. Now I can get out to the salt. But when I was indoors more, I would have salt lamp and a vaporizer or humidifier or whatever, just letting off peppermint oil. I found peppermint oil was stimulating. I need to be stimulated to relax. So, yeah.
I prepared. I have different kind of essential oil. So before going to sleep, I have lavender and sweet orange mix, and right next to my bed.
Oh,
And right before going to sleep, I always do this. I just tap a little bit, and then I smell few
I
deep
love that.
respiration, and that's so beautiful. I just love it. And when I wake up in the morning, I have rosemary and lemon blend, and I have it in my morning routine. Something somewhere that's so easy to reach out, and I just do the same thing the first thing in the morning. I just splash it all over my hair or my skin, and then that allows me to actually that excites me to breathe deeply than
Yeah.
normal. So yeah, and sage is another favorite blend that I like. Sage, this is in French, but sage is perfect when you're going through a menstruum cycle, like when you have like a PMS. Sage and mint is excellent
I
to
love
apply
all
on your
this.
skin. Mm.
I love all these essential oils are amazing. This is so true. Like when I say I couldn't get out of bed, but I wasn't sleeping when I was before I healed. I went through a couple periods where I did not sleep at all. So I would and this is very different from insomnia, where you've had insomnia for 3 nights and then usually you can sleep, or sometimes I was prescribed something to sleep and it would kick my sleep back in. Not sleeping for 3 months and having dissociative being is very different. And all I would do is lay there, like, because you got no energy. You can't do anything. If you get up, you're dissociated. So you do something stupid anyway, make not great decisions. But nature literally held me during that time, because you can't talk to people. And looking out the window in my house, I would just lay there and stare until all of a sudden I felt I had this calling. I had some energy to get myself outdoors, and I would just hold on to it. I can't preface, even before I was eating whole foods or vegan foods at the time, is how nature held me. And I've spoken about this when I first got in psychiatric units, and you're locked up, you're not allowed outdoors, and there is a little courtyard area you're allowed in between certain hours. I would literally stay by the window. The only thing which I believed in my darkest times was the sun and the moon, which I could see out the window, some leaves. And I always say to people on their healing, if they can't get outside, is eat by a window. Like, your brain does so much better being in nature. Like, however nature looks for you, do it. Do.
Yeah, definitely. And I also wanted to mention about music, because I think
Oh, yes.
the
That's
music.
another one.
I saw you in your story that you love dancing, and I used to love. I used to dance a lot, and used to listen to pop and R&B music. But something I uh, pay attention to is the music lyrics. They have this subconscious level of message to our body, I feel. And Dr. Emoto did this research, right? So he checked on different kind of music, and that the best music that he found was classic music.
Mm.
And I've noticed this. Like, I actually abandoned some of my favorite R&B music, because even though I love the rhythm, the lyrics were very violent, and I realized that has like had a subconscious effect on me. So I feel great while I'm dancing and listening to it, but then I notice it's sort of like a sugar attack. So like I feel great, and then there's like a huge mood swing after that. So I don't listen. When I choose a music to dance, I'm very careful what kind of music I'm choosing.
So I noticed this as well very strongly after I first came. And I wonder if a lot of musicians come out of psych units. Most, like what you see, like someone like Eminem or Sia, have come out of psych units, become famous, extra famous. Their words, because what happens when you dissociate is when someone says one word, so they speak a sentence, is we're usually connected to the person and we understand that sentence. But every sentence comes at you, and all the words and all the information behind the words just beam through at once. So and it's how I've spoken about this. So there's that song, I Got My Peaches Out in Georgia, by Justin Bieber. And I thought he took his pants off and was mooning everybody in Georgia, but he got the actual peaches. He buys them out in Georgia. And that happens because your brain, I mean, it happens general, but literally words just come at you with a million meanings. So I get why these rappers and stuff come out with these, like, they become out like writing some of the best songs. But what happened to me is, I totally agree with you, Kiko, is a lot of the songs that I love, I don't even remember the old lyrics. I've remade lyrics in my head. So when I play them, my brain only knows the remake of the song. So in my head, any negative word I've changed to be extra positive, because I will notice this. And the more raw you get, the more you notice that everything people say, because you are so raw. So when someone says a bad word around you, you take on that energy. You, all of a sudden you feel bad. So I have all these songs that I've, like, in my head, like when these bad parts come up, it's like I've lifted myself to higher love and I've like done this. And it's like, so because I think the joy behind a lot of these songs comes from childhood, Skye, who loved to dance to pop, who had no idea what the words were. So now it's like, They're all high vibe words. All I can do
That's
it. Yeah.
beautiful that you rewrite the story. That's great.
Yeah, because yeah, you are completely right. But if you're not like, if you can't do that, you're best to stay and do songs that because sometimes like that song I put on my story yesterday is a lot of the time is I didn't know what to do some days when you've let go of everything and you're having raw foods and you're outdoors. And so something like that Ariana Grande song where it says, just keep breathing and breathing and breathing. And I keep going. I remember, I think Selena Gomez said, some days it's okay to just breathe. You don't have to do anything today. Today's a day where you just make sure you've eaten, showered, and you just breathe. And so I would find things, because my brain was not still great, that I could relate in some way. And so music was huge for me because I couldn't music I could do. I could push play on Spotify, but I couldn't do much else on a phone or even struggled to turn them on when they went off. But I would always find some songs, and that's all I kind of had for a couple of years. Anytime I went bad, all I had was music, nature, and then in the end raw foods, which really saved me. So yeah, Creative Heart saying the same thing. You don't want to have anything that's sad. When you're having a bad day, it's funny because when I work with people, I try to preface how, because a lot of people like, I can't, the words, I can't do this because I have to work. I can't do this because I'm a mum. I can't do this for many reasons. And my theory is, and what I thought about when I first healed myself is, if you can let everything go for 6 months, but then for the next 40 years, you're so present as a mother. You're more present than your own kids because you're full of energy. You're so present as a daughter. You're so present as an employee. But imagine each person can stop and learn to love themselves, because how I get through every bad time on this healing journey is going back to what I did originally. I always go back to what I did originally. And I knew that at the time. I was like, Skye, you're worried about what you're going to do for the rest of your life, but you can barely even look after yourself. You have to stay here because this is a time. And I will take time to myself and get in the water, time to myself, just sit out in nature, time to myself, go and get salt, time to myself, get the oils like I did, time to myself with music like I shared yesterday. So that's what I say to people is this, you won't, if you always in your healing part keep prioritizing other people, that's what they do. Your children will just mimic what you do. Your employee will not get the best of you. We're talking about just 6 months. Let everything go. Find a way to invest in yourself so much that the rest of your life you shine. Maybe it's not 6 months for people, but then imagine what you can bring. You can make more money. You can put a better roof over your families. Like what I've like been able to do from that is unbelievable. But it took me, like even family, when I was reconnecting with family, not staying by. I don't have to explain why. This is about me. This time is now about me. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and same thing with music. You're what I pay very much attention is people who gets close to me. So I have a clear
yeah.
boundaries of people who are saying something negative about themselves or about me, like attacking. And I am very clear that I do not want that kind of energy. It's not just music that we listen to, right? Like we tend to let go of family member or close friends who can bring you down, and you could be you might feel like, oh, they're going through a hard time, so I should listen to them. But no, I do not do that. Like it's not serving anyone, and I'm very clear.
Yeah.
It's maybe one of the reasons I don't have any friends near me because I prefer, my mental health is more important than my physical health. It's so important that I wake up,
100%.
excited, jumping out of my bed, and excited to do my projects and also help others if I have that kind of energy. So I used to listen to others. I was just too nice and trying to listen to everyone, but no one can help others. They're the one who has to stand up on their own, and there's a limit.
Yes. Look, I mean, I'm the prime example, right? Is people were there for me my whole life, and when they left, I rose. It's not like I couldn't rise until I had lost every single thing. There was no help from anybody. And then I realized my own strength. So I guess that's why I see it too. But I think it's so right is you feel it so much. You just feel when you show up for someone that you thought you were helping, that you were just solidifying their problem. You're like, oh, that's so hard. I get why you can't now do that. I get, and you just like and then that's already saying those words is making me feel bad. Anything that makes my heart feel bad, I'm like, I don't resonate with. And this is why I'm so connected to this online community, is because it's taken like seeking people out all over the world to keep raising my vibration, to keep
Yeah.
feeling good. That was huge. It wasn't just the food. The food for me was the gateway, which then led me to see. And I was talking about metal spoons yesterday. The ding hitting my teeth made me feel bad, and I couldn't get uh, wooden forks, so I got bamboo chopsticks and ate with chopsticks for months. Because when it hit my teeth, I didn't feel bad. Like I really listened to what felt bad. And I think what Creative Heart has said, I think more you care for yourself, this is what I learned too, is the more you care for others. Because what you do for yourself, I then healed all my relationships with my family. I couldn't do that until I learned to look after myself. And I try and share that with people, but people just are like, no, I've got to push through my day. I need 5 coffees so I can get the kids to soccer. And it's like, what if you learnt to care for yourself? Because when I was at rock bottom as well, is what came to me is what my dad did every day. And I watched him every day, but it took till I was 40 to go, okay, he gets up, exercises, makes himself juice, makes himself like this raw granola thing with plant-based milk, before he even helps another person. But he's fit and healthy and can still care for people when they're falling down who have obviously not done the self. Like it's interesting. So it's best to look after yourself in front of other people, and then
Yeah.
they can learn.
Yeah, and I used to work as a personal coach, and because I wanted to help so much of others, and I put too much, it was just way too nice. I was saying that I got actually backstabbed, like that
Oh,
energy kind of, I had to be very careful, like because love and hate is a very fine line, that uh, it's very I learned from my lessons from my being a personal as business coach, that I have to take care of myself first. If I have enough energy and in a good mood, I can serve so much. And even if
yeah.
someone would could they're not having good day and they could attack me, I can be grounded if I have a good base, right? But if I'm like um, chasing other people, trying to help them without taking care of myself, it's just not serving anyone. So I'm focusing on myself first.
I think it comes back to the big thing which I thought about when I finally started healing was I never actually thought about the true spiritual reason of why we are all here. Like, it is definitely not to go to school and earn a lot of money to build a house and fly around the world with a mortgage and debt and stress. And yet you get so caught up in that because every day you're showing up to a school, which solidifies that in you. And then your friends are all like, have you seen this in this magazine? We're all in a group then solidifying like what we want. And then you go to university and you want. And yet the happiest I was saying this yesterday, is I was like, I went to a private school. I had designer bags from 15 that were worth thousands. I lived on the water. I had a boat when I was 10 with a motor. But the happiest I remember sitting out had no family connected to me, sitting out in like a concrete backyard thing on a chair, which should have been thrown out because it was crooked, it was broken, but it was in the sun. And I was eating a salad. And I worked out that I'd said, I love you, Skye, more times in the past 3 weeks than I had in my whole life. And I felt in such gratitude and that my life was just beginning. And it's completely different to what I thought my focus was growing up. And someone wrote a comment on one of my YouTube videos saying, like, they're not surprised it took me so much to find raw foods, because sometimes that's what it takes in this life. You have to be literally beaten And then you get up and beaten again, and get up and beaten again, until you realize you don't want to be beaten anymore. And you're willing to do something which makes you different to everybody else in the world. But and this is another thing I brought up, is if you do this journey, and I know a lot of people are very grateful for a lot of people who put forth protocols, and even us who do podcasts. You're the one that's getting up in the morning and deciding to go to the gym. Every second you walk there, it's you with you. You're the one that stays in the gym. It's you and you. You come home. You're the one that faces that fridge. It's you and you. You're the hero. When you realize you're the hero in your story, because it's you who has to face you. Like, Dr. Morse or Dr. Brooke Goldner can't be at your fridge. It's amazing that they can direct you. But when you realize you're the hero, you can take on more. And we struggle as humans to acknowledge that we are heroes, because people say, don't be a selfish, don't be like, you're so up yourself. Be up yourself. Love yourself enough. Because if you sit back and be like, oh, I can't think that. No, think that. That's what's going to get you through going to the gym. It's going to get you to, in that morning, is say, no, today I'm throwing out one more thing and I'm going to buy more celery or apples or whatever it is. Because at the end of the day, guys, on these bad days and creating the life of your dreams, it is just you.
Yeah, and it's just a tiny step. How I usually start is like maybe include 1 minute exercise. So it could be, okay, today I'm going to do breath work when I wake up or before going to sleep, and just stick with it. And being a coach, what worked really well with people is I always ask my client to focus on something that they can do easily. So when they say that, oh, okay, I'm going to set my goal to work on half an hour yoga every day. I say, no, no, not, I mean, are you doing yoga at all now? And if they're not doing at all, I say 1 minute of yoga, start with 1 minute. And they're so happy they have committed with something, not half an hour, 1 hour that they wanted to commit. Because when you set the goal, it's so easy. You're so excited, but you
Yes.
have to set the goal that's so easy that you can be proud of every day, and then incremental. It gets so easy after.
And you're so proud. So this is so true. What Kiko is saying is the foundation of what healed me. And what I say to people is, if you're eating a sad diet and you think going raw vegan, and you might see someone who's getting up and they're springing out of bed and they're having these beautiful recipes and smoothies, and in your head, you're excited. So you've got this rush of dopamine, and that's you already. And when you realize that that person has started with the 1 minute of yoga, and then maybe the week after they accidentally had a hamburger, and they've worked, they're the one that's shown up for themselves over years to be that influencer you look at, or that coach that's doing that. And that's why I say, start with where you're at. If you can last a week with having, or a month with having, a raw dinner on every Wednesday night, you're a superhero, because you're the one that has to show up for that. And letting go of life that we've built is like, Rome wasn't built in a day. So I'm all here for people, not like, as you said, is I think you're a champion if you're doing a minute of yoga twice a week and you enjoy it. And you're like, you know what? I think two minutes. And then you're all of a sudden you go, I skipped to 5. Because if you find joy in it, you will show back up. It's the way the brain works. If you put yourself in pain, and this is why detox will not work long term, the brain is wired to avoid pain. You can put up with pain for a short period, but you cannot last in pain for years, because the brain will fling you so far back into dopamine, because it's its job. It's like eat, breathe, sleep, do not feel fire. So what I did to heal is, I never, if I, I give the example is, some people have to stay on raw food, and I had to stay on raw food because I knew the difference when I discovered it, right? But I was paleo for a year, vegan for 2 years, and then I went raw. So instead of ordering takeaway, I'd get a bowl and chop up nori sheets and have tamari sauce and grated carrots as noodles and cashews. That is not a health raw meal. but I was so proud that I didn't drink, smoke, vape, take a medication, or order takeaway. And only battle that I had to face in that moment, because I wasn't on social media, it was me. But I think a lot of people see that and they're like, I'm going to do just juices, or I'm going to do just a set protocol, and I'm bad if I do this. But I kept seeing everything as good. Like, these are all good. I haven't gone back. It might look a bit funny, but this is where we're at. And, I think the more you can do steps of love, you just keep living your life for the rest of your life in love. That's what I noticed, is because I healed in love and I loved it. There were people like, did you have detox? Never had detox. I felt like crap because I stopped drinking, vaping, smoking, medications. But I would have felt like that no matter what diet is. You're letting go of something. But the more I hydrated and had foods, I was excited each day. I felt sunshine again. And it was just it was so beautiful. And I think maybe you can get detox if you go too high too fast, but you can only sit there for so long, because the brain's whole purpose is to keep you alive. And part of that is not in pain. So, yeah, starting small is amazing.
I love the name, by the way, Creative Heart. That's what
I
a beautiful name.
know. Creative heart. Art. I feel like you open up to so much when you heal. You see all the little or you might have always been like that. You see all the little it's like why I call myself Raw Skye, ROAR, not RAW, Skye. Like, I call myself like raw, because I knew the food fully entered me into a world which I could not unlock before. But there's so much you want to do. It's all about love. I want to roar through life, and I want to be out in nature, and I want to connect with beautiful souls, and that focus will always change. But I will say that the food is the reason I can do what I do. But it's
Yeah,
like so much more.
I didn't realize eat and art is in it. That's so
Yes.
brilliant. I love that. That's so smart.
Yes. So
One other exercise that I share actually also in my Instagram, Namado Kiko, is it's also along with the music. So we have to be mindful of what we shower with every day. So actually, the most constant thought is our thought ourselves, right? Not other people speaking to you or the music itself. So one of the first trainings that I had to go through as a personal coach was listen to set the timer on your smartphone, like every 10-15 minutes or so, and you check yourself, like what's your thought. So when the timer goes off, what are you thinking? So you do this like you repeat it and you sum up what are your regular thoughts. And I was shocked when I tried this exercise. I consider myself to be a very positive person, and a lot of people always told me that, Kiko, you're a very positive person. But when I checked that internal thoughts, I was not nice at all. So yeah, that's a good way to check your thoughts, what you are showering with.
yeah, and you know what? On that, remember, so I did not get online and read stuff or be influenced by social media or television for years. Like, even if a television was on, I couldn't see it. I could see it moving, but I couldn't get into it, like concentrate. And this is why I'm so adverse to reading and podcasts. And everyone's like, if you listen to this person, if you listen to that person, if you listen to this person, that's all great. But no matter who they are, once you start listening, you become every word they say. So a lot of people have said to me, Joe Dispenza, Joe Dispenza, Joe Dispenza. So I tried to read one of his books, and it starts off by first explaining the horror stories people go through before they come out the other side. I can't go there. My heart's already dropped to my chest. Maybe it's different for each person, and maybe people, I don't know. I never knew how much we become what we listen. Like, and when your mind is literally blank, you've dissociated, you have no connection to your old memories, you feel these words. Like, and so I'm so careful. And this is another reason why it was so easy for me to walk away from like family events at the start, because a lot of the stuff you become. And a lot of people are talking about health things, and I've got away from that. So I have to go. So when my mind was, I'm not as aware of it now, sadly, but when I had nothing in it, I was like, yeah. And that's the other thing about picking your phone up. And I do it when I first wake up, but usually it's because I want to talk to my friends. You don't know what's about to come up on that feed. And if it what comes up, and that's as well why I struggle with a lot of, and it's not that I want to avoid it, is a lot of vegans fighting for rights who put forward like these real graphic images. Is I prefer to shine light in love other than force someone to feel pain, because the pain, it's the way the brain works is it's not really classifying this as this is different from you feeling pain. You don't know the difference. The brain is just not feeling it at such a physical level, at nerves on the body, but feeling pain and feeling these words of negativity, we become. So it's just things to be mindful of. Yeah, it's interesting. The other person, I'm going to put it out there, that I struggled with, and this is not even what he says, this is the tone in his voice, is medical medium. So I found it a real aggressive note, and that isn't even what he said, because when I first tried to listen to what he said, I couldn't comprehend words. It was just vibrational energy. And so if I'm friends with you or connected to you, it's totally that there's a vibrational match. And it's nothing that he might say things that are right. And I've said this, he saves many lives, especially people who are eating such a bad diet, but I can't listen. I get my shoulders go up. I go like, it's like a shudder.
Yeah, I felt the same when I listened to Medical Medium. It's amazing that he seemed to help a lot of people, but when I listened to him,
Yeah.
it sounded like a different language that I was like, which language is this? Like I cannot comprehend anything. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's yeah, again, everyone has their own journey, and you're right. Like we are connecting with the vibration. It's
Yeah.
not what they say, but it's
Yeah.
the vibration, the music that they carry that we connect with.
Yes, follow your tune. Skip to your
Yeah.
tune, right, guys? And that doesn't mean these people are bad. It's just a
Yeah.
resonance thing. Like it's I respect whatever they're doing, and they're obviously their tune is going to attract who needs to come to them. And so we want that. We're ending this podcast, and we're saying skip to your tune on these bad days. You know what feels good for you. And I love showers. I also love, like, I find helping the nervous system with like a cold towel, because you got a lot of blood flow up here in the vagus nerve when you're really panicked, or on the wrist you got a lot of blood flow, helps. But it's each, you have to do what you love and feel, make sure it feels good. Don't think you've got to now force yourself through something on a hard day that makes you feel bad, because your body will search out more bad.
Yeah, and I appreciate everyone being here and listening to this.
Yeah.
And each one of yours journey is so inspiring. I love listening to other people's inspiring story on raw vegan, high raw vegan, or whatever it is. So yeah, thanks for being there. It matters that you are there.
It does matter. And I always say is, I like, as much as, so I see Kiko and I see someone like Dulce and I see Marabella, but please don't ever not think that you're a huge part of my life, because my life is online. Someone like Creative Heart I speak to every day. Like, you don't have to be on camera to make a difference in this world and in somebody's life. And that can look different for everyone. So love you guys, and we'll be back next week.
Yay! Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Skye. Bye.